Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video because if you cannot tell, we are in my kitchen. So I'm going to be doing some baking with you guys. Today I'm going to be doing sugar cookies with frosting. So I'm very excited, so let's jump into it. So this recipe that I have for my sugar cookies, I've actually been using it for a few years now. It's one of my favorite recipes. Cookies are very basic, and this one is very simple and easy to make, and I swear these are the best sugar cookies you will ever eat. So I've already measured out all the ingredients, so we are going to add them to my KitchenAid mixer. So first we have to cream together the butter and sugar. So you need 1.5 cups of butter softened, so that is 3 sticks of butter. So these have been sitting out for a while, so they are nice and soft. So we are just going to add these to the mixer. And there they go. And then we need 2 cups of sugar. So I'm going to go over here and grab my 2 cups that I have measured out of just regular white sugar. Add them to the mixer. Now we pull this down, lock it, and this is the lowest speed, so you just want to keep it on a low speed and mix that until it is totally combined. So this is how the sugar and butter should look when it's all combined. Now the next step is to beat in the eggs and the vanilla. So in this cup I have measured out the ingredients. It is 4 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So with the mixer on the lowest speed, we are going to have it on and put in 1 egg at a time and just kind of let it mix until it's incorporated in there. I'm going to add another egg, and as the eggs are going in, the vanilla is obviously also going in, so that's going to get in there as well. Add our 3rd egg, let it mix for a while, just till it gets, incorporated into the mixture, and then add our 4th egg. Make sure everything gets in there and let it mix for a minute. Now something you have to do a lot in baking is kind of stop the mixer from time to time, lift it up, and scrape down the sides of your bowl to make sure that all the ingredients get incorporated. So you just want to really get in there with a spatula and just make sure the sides are scraped down, get to the bottom. And this will make sure that everything gets incorporated completely and will just give you a better mix. So the final step is to stir in the flour, baking powder, and salt. So it's 5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. So I have that measured out in this bowl. So probably in like 3 or 4 different additions, I'll add in just a little bit at a time, just to, you don't want to add it in all at once. You want to kind of add it in small batches just till it all mixes together. And don't forget to occasionally scrape down your bowl, get everything incorporated in there. We'll add in a little more flour and baking powder and salt mixture, and we'll let it go on the lowest speed. You never want to set a mixer on a high speed when you add any type of dry ingredients, flour, sugar, whatever, because the second you turn it on, it will all splash up at you and hit you, and it will not be a good time. So we are going to stop it again, add in some more flour. Now this is a really large recipe. It calls for 5 cups of flour, so the mixing bowl gets pretty filled, but it works. It's fine. It doesn't, you know, this mixer isn't too small. It's like the perfect size for this recipe. And just turn it off. And then dump the remainder of the flour and baking powder and salt, sorry, in there. So that was 4 additions we did. There's some flour, you know, coming out of the sides, but that happens. A little bit of flour on the sides. We'll scoop it in there with our hands. Okay, so I've scraped down the bowl one more time. I've cleaned up all the flour that was left on the sides of the bowl. So I'm just going to let it mix for a couple more seconds just to make sure everything's fully incorporated. I think that looks good. So, as someone who went to school for baking and pastry arts, I was taught to always taste your product. So I'm just going to take my finger, stick it in the bowl, just get a little bit on there. And it tastes delicious. So the next step in this process is to take the dough and refrigerate it for at least 1 hour, or you could do it overnight if you want. I'm going to do it for an hour or 2 at most, because I definitely want to make these cookies today. Now, the thing with this recipe is you can just take the dough straight from this step and start rolling it out and cut it out. I had one time previously, I had an event that I needed these cookies for, so I didn't have the time to let them chill in the fridge. So I was able to work with the dough, and, you know, obviously I needed more flour because it is pretty sticky when you first mix it. But I was able to roll it out no problem and cut out, you know, whatever I needed and bake them and ice them, and they turned out fine. But, you know, definitely refrigerating them for at least an hour will definitely help them firm up and make them a lot better to work with. So we will see you in an hour when we are ready to roll out this dough. Hey guys, so it's about 7 hours later. I know I said I'd come back in an hour and take the dough out and work with it, but I had to be an adult. I had to make dinner and do some laundry, do the dishes, and I just got out of the shower. So it's been a while, but I've got the dough out of the fridge. And here's how it looks. This is like a decent sized bowl, and it's pretty much like full with sugar cookie dough. So we've got a lot of dough to work with. I might actually end up freezing some and maybe baking off some more cookies tomorrow or next week. Who knows? We'll see how I feel. So whenever I do sugar cookies or just like breads, like any type of dough, I usually whip out this mat, which is Silpin, and it also comes with this really nice big roller. It may look kind of orange in the video, but it's actually red. My mom got this for me last year at Costco for Christmas. She thought it would make a cute gift, and it actually was really cool, and I use it like all the time, so I love this thing. So unfortunately I don't have someone else who can kind of film me as I roll out the dough, but I will whip out the camera and show you guys when I've got the dough rolled out to the thickness I want it. and I will show you me cutting out some shapes, what cutters I'm going to be using, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so I've taken a small portion of the dough, not a whole lot, obviously I can't fit all the dough on here, so I just grabbed about 4 handfuls of it, kind of rolled it all together and rolled it out. Not super thick, but not super thin. I like a little bite in my cookie, so I just did it to a preference that I like, since, you know, this isn't for like an event or anything. So now we're going to come over here. So these are the 3 cutters I'm going to be using. I have like a decent amount of cutters, but most of them are for like seasonal. Like I have like a bunch of Halloween ones, a bunch of Christmas ones, and Thanksgiving. This one is actually part of like a Valentine's Day set, but like we could all use some more love in our lives, so, you know, had to do the heart. That's like a classic. Star, because also classic, and just a round because that's the real classic. So I'm just going to grab the round ones. Also, these aren't like huge, they're actually pretty small, so we're definitely gonna get a lot out of these. So I might only do like 2 dozen, and whatever dough I have I'll just freeze and make another day. So we're going to take our circle cutter, come over here, just press right into it, and then yeah, sometimes they kind of come up, and then just have to be very fragile, and doing this with one hand is like a bit much. So be like as fragile as you can. That one was kind of not, because I usually use both hands, just to be extra safe, because the dough is obviously like very delicate. Like, it's not super thick, but you know, it's not super thin. It's like decent, but it's also like very delicate. So these are the size cookie sheets I have. I think they're like the standard size. And then I have my Silpat mats. So I can usually fit about 12 to 15 cookies on here. I might just do like 12 on this tray, and then I have my other tray over here, so I might do 12 on that as well, so that will be 2 dozen. So then I could just bake them off and just do that. So next you will see all my cookies going in the oven. So here we have all the cookies. This one is not doing too hot. Guys, I forgot how hard it is to keep the shape of these, especially like once I got out the dough and started kneading it and rolling it out. Like, I had to use like so much more flour than I thought, because the last time I made cookies was December, like Christmas time. It's currently June. It's hot outside. It's hot in my kitchen because I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. So it's hot in here, it's hot outside. So once I got working with the dough, it got really soft really easily. And at first I didn't have enough flour down under it, so they were kind of sticking to the mat. So some of them are misshapen. I tried my best. So I was able to get 30 cookies, and that's all I'm gonna do for tonight because that's a lot of cookies. So we have 12 circle ones, we have 6 stars, and I think the stars honestly came out the best because they kind of stuck to the cutter, so I just kind of popped them out and plopped them down. And then we have 12 hearts. Most of the hearts look okay, there's a couple kind of rough ones here. Yeah, so here they all are. So my oven is really weird. If I put both of these in at the same time, since obviously one will be higher than the other, the one on the bottom, the bottoms of the actual cookies usually get a little, sorry, grabbing my phone, usually get like pretty dark, so I have to bake them on the middle rack, so I can only bake one tray at a time. So we are going to just take this tray, So the oven's preheated to 400 degrees. So open up the oven, get a bunch of hot air in your face. I'm currently sweating. Pop the cookies in on the middle rack because the bottom one is just way too low, and honestly this one should be a little higher too, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. So these cookies bake for 6 to 8 minutes. We're gonna go for 5 just because they are pretty thin and I like to be very cautious. A really good thing I learned in culinary school is you can always add time. You can't take time away. Also for ingredients, you can always add more of something, but once you've added it in, you can't take it out. So I'm always just very cautious, like when it comes to baking times. It says 6 to 8 minutes. I'm setting it to 5 just to be safe. If it needs a minute or 2 more, you can always add that minute or 2 on. So I personally am just extremely cautious. I don't want them to burn because, you know, burnt cookies aren't tasty, and we want these to be tasty and delicious. This is all the dough I have left over. Still, I literally didn't even use half the dough. But this is the dough that I was working with, so you can see how soft it is, and this is the dough that was not really touched with, so it's a lot more firm. It is getting softer though. It's been sitting out for about a half an hour, so it's definitely getting softer. So I'm going to take this, put it in some sort of sealable container, put some tape on it, label it and date it just so I know for my own reference and other family members know what it is, because it might just look weird and I don't want other people touching it. And this is the mess I have made. So now I get to do some cleanup while I wait for the cookies. Alright, so we've cleaned up our area. It's always very important, and I'm a very clean person. I like to keep things nice and tidy. So as soon as I popped the cookies in, I started cleaning. Really with this, all you have to do is just rinse it off. You know, do a little soap and warm water. But it's really just rinsing. So rinse that off. We've got our sugar cookie here. This is really the only container size I had available, but also this is the biggest container I have. The next one up from this is a huge bowl, which I knew would be way too big, but I was afraid I might need to use 2 of these, so I'm happy I didn't. It fit in one. It's pretty much filled to the top. And then you just put a little clear tape on it. You write what it is and the date just so other people are aware. So all of our cookies just got out of the oven. So they only took 5 minutes. So I'm glad I set the timer for 5. It's kind of hard to tell with sugar cookie because obviously it doesn't really, I mean, they get darker on the bottom, so you can kind of check the bottom. This one's a little golden. This is perfect. I like them a little softer. I know other people may like them a little crispier, so maybe they would want to bake them for another minute or 2. I like them softer. So these ones came out first. So you just kind of you can kind of feel if it's very soft still when you touch it. It's obviously not done. It should have a little firmness to it. These are very light. They are just done. Also, when your products first come out of the oven, they still cook a little bit more. So, you know, make sure they're done, but just know when you take them out, they will cook a little more as they're cooling. And these are the other ones. These literally just came out a minute ago. So now I need to make the icing and decorate these. So I've got my mixer all ready with the whip attachment to make the icing. And I will show you guys how I make my cookie icing. So I actually tested out a new icing that I think I'm going to be using for cookies. The other one I had, it was good, but the icing was never like super thick, so it would like run sometimes. It wasn't the best, but I worked at a bakery for about 6 months, and they would use a meringue powder to make their cookie icing. It wasn't Wilton brand, but this is what I found in Michael's when I went in one day to do a little shopping. I've actually had this for a couple months now, and I just cracked into it today. So it has right here on the container what you need for royal icing for cookies. So it's 3 tablespoons of the Wilton meringue powder, 4 cups of sifted confectioner's sugar, which is about 1 pound, and 5 tablespoons of water. You just basically beat them all together in your mixing bowl for 7 to 10 minutes on medium speed, and you get cookie icing. So it actually looks really good. It's like actually very stiff, and I hope it will pipe okay. I think I'm gonna need some pressure to pipe these. But I've got all the cookies lined up here on cooling racks, and I think I'm gonna color a little bit of the icing a different color. Like these I want to do blue, the stars I want to do yellow, and the hearts I want to do red. So I'm gonna try to do that. Also, another tip, if you don't know, when you are not using the royal icing, make sure to get a damp cloth and cover it so the icing doesn't go bad, because just being exposed to the air, it will harden and go bad and you won't be able to use it. It doesn't look like there's a lot of icing in here, but when I was measuring it out, it looked like there was a lot, like maybe too much, like I would be throwing out a lot. But, you know, obviously once the sugar and powder and water came together, you know, it looks like it's a lot less than it is, because there's definitely a decent amount here. So we will be showing you the finished product soon. Alright, you guys, so this is the final product. So got the heart cookies that were piped with red icing. Got the stars that were piped with yellow, and then these ones, I just had some extra red icing, so I piped a little on them. And then we've got the blue ones, and on some I did some writing and designs just to practice, see how they looked, and I'm really happy with this icing. I liked it a lot. It was a little stiff, but like it worked, and it worked really well. So these are sugar cookies, super easy recipe, super easy icing, easy to make, and they came out really good. I ate a couple already. If you can't tell, there's some empty spaces where cookies were, and they were delicious. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to make these cookies, I would love to see what you guys do with them, how you decorate them. I'd love to see that, so if you make them on any social media accounts you have, tag me in them. My links are posted down below in the description. And if you like this video and want to see more of me baking different things, you know, make sure to give it a like and comment and subscribe to my channel and click the bell button so you are notified every time I make a new video. I really hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.